Hey, good morning. It's Uncle Lou here. Yeah, that's right. It's me, Uncle Lou, and I'm live for you on LouTube today, so thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. College football season is here, people. 2 days away from the official kickoff of the 2019 college football season with the quote-unquote Week 0 games coming up Saturday afternoon. We have a couple of games, I think, the big one being, of course, the Florida versus Miami game. I think Arizona and Hawaii play this Saturday, too, so a couple of college football games this weekend to get us started. And the only thing better than watching college football is making money on college football. And in today's video, I'm going to show you the easiest way to do that. For the second year in a row, I'm lucky enough to partner with the good people over at betnow.eu to bring you guys all the latest point spreads, totals, and odds for every single game this season during the 2019 college football season. And this website couldn't be easier to use. Now, I'm guilty of this too. I know a lot of you probably are too. We sort of just assume that everybody that watches football understands betting and odds and point spreads and money lines and totals and over-unders and all that kind of thing. And the reality is, not everybody understands that stuff because not everybody has ever had a reason to. I know some of you have probably been gambling on college football your entire lives or whatever, and you know that's fine. But in today's video, I'm going to show you just how easy it is to get signed up over at betnow.eu. Then we'll pull up the list of games for this Saturday, and we'll take a look at them. Okay, here we go. www.betnow.eu. You type that in your web browser, and here you go. This is their home screen, and you can see it's pretty straightforward here, right? Place to log in at the top. If you're new to the site, there's a Join Now link right here. Click that link, and it's going to take you to the Join Now page, and it's just your basic information that you have to enter in to sign up with any other site you've ever signed up with on the internet before. Name, where you live, address, phone number, date of birth, email. You pick a password, choose a security question. How did you hear about us? Uncle Lou. Yeah, make sure you enter Uncle Lou in there. And it's as simple as that. They're going to generate a user ID for you. You can see mine right up here. And just so you know, yes, Uncle Lou uses this site. I would never promote anything to you guys that I don't use myself. So, yes, I use this site. They're reliable. They're legitimate. They're the real deal. You don't have to have any worries when you're using betnow.eu. And I'm going to show you just how easy it is. I'll click login here. I don't need to sign up, obviously, so I just log in. Okay, and you can see, all right, available balance 0. I'm going to show you just how easy it is to deposit money here on betnow.eu and start wagering on some of these football games and make yourself some money. Very simple. Deposit now. Click that button. The link comes up. They have several different ways for you to try to get money into your account. I use my bank card. It works fine. I've never had any issues or problems. You can see you can deposit as little as $25 or as much as $1,000 using this method. There's no waiting time. There's no 48-hour hold. None of that. You deposit the money. Funds available immediately. All right. You just click Make Your Deposit. How much do you want to deposit onto the account? Choose which type of card you have, Visa, MasterCard, American Express, right? Enter your card number, expiration date, the 3-digit code on the back, and right here where it says promo code is where you will enter Uncle Lou if you're new to this site. They've given me a promo code to let you guys use. The promo code is Uncle Lou. It's all one word, no spaces, and I think it's all capital letters. But if you type in all capital letters and that doesn't work, then it's all lowercase letters. But I think it's all capital letters. You hit submit, and boom, you'll have your money. I'll be right back. I'm gonna load some money up, and I'll be right back. All right, there we go. It's that easy. See now, $100. Yeah, I know Uncle Lou's not no big spender, but anyway. This would be a good. Speaking of that, this would be a good time to give this disclaimer here. You should gamble for entertainment purposes only, right? I don't want anybody getting in any type of trouble with gambling or anything like that. I do it just for fun. I don't bet big money. I bet, $10, $20, $25 a game, sometimes $50 on a game if I feel pretty confident in it or whatever. But what you bet or gamble is up to you. For the four of us here to go to the movies, what does that cost? $100? I look at this as entertainment. I don't look at it as a way to make money. Over the course of a season, if you make a little bit of money, great. If you lose a little bit of money, that's okay too. You just have to look at it as entertainment. Gamble with extra money. Don't gamble with your house payment. Just keep that in mind. And also, it doesn't matter to me whether you guys. I don't get paid anything based off of what you guys do on here. It doesn't, if you deposit $100 or $1 million, I don't get any of that money. I don't get a percentage of anything you put in here or anything like that. It's nothing like that. The arrangement I have with BetNow doesn't have anything to do with how much money you guys put onto this account. They just sponsor the videos, and that's all there is to it. So anyway, it's that easy. You get the money in there. And you're good to go. Sports book. Make a bet. All right. Let's see what happens here. All right, here you go. You can see, and it tells you, if you're new to this kind of thing, it walks you through it step by step what you have to do. But, over on the left are all the different sports and things that you can gamble on. Politics. Jesus. But anyway, obviously, we're doing football. So you click the plus sign, and all the different football leagues and all the different options for betting on football come up. And everything from the NFL to the Canadian Football League, Australian rules. Obviously, we're going to do NCAA football. There are a million different ways to bet on football. I bet the most straightforward ways possible. I'm not going to get into some of the more complicated bets. I'm not going to talk about betting just the first half or just the second half or just the first quarter or just the third quarter. But again, there's a million different ways you can play on here. We're just going to pull up the games, check the box, view lines, and we'll see what they look like. And you can see all the games are going to come up in chronological order, date order, right? So here we are right here, Saturday, the 24th of August, 2019. This, of course, is the week 0 games. There's only 2, like we mentioned. And then down here starts the official week 1 of college football. So you got some games on Thursday. Big one there, of course, is Georgia Tech and Clemson. And then you've got Friday games right here, right? And then your Saturday games here. So, and there's games Sunday and Monday too, week 1. But for the purposes of this video, this is just for people who maybe haven't done a lot of betting on football, or maybe they've done no betting at all, but they're thinking about it. And I'm just going to walk through here just some basic ways to place bets here on betnow.eu and sort of explain some of the terminology and some of the numbers that you see here, when we start looking at these games. And we'll use the Florida-Miami game as an example. Now, the first thing you'll see is that it tells you, obviously, the time that the game is played. In a lot of cases, it'll tell you what channel the game is coming on. And if it's a neutral site game, it will list that up here as well. Generally speaking, like these games down here that aren't neutral site games, the team on the bottom, right, is going to be the home team. So Georgia Tech is playing at Clemson, right? So Clemson is listed on the bottom. So, but again, you should know who the home team is before you're betting on the game, because that kind of thing matters, right? All right, we're going to go left to right across here and sort of talk about all of these numbers. These numbers here, 291, 292, those numbers don't mean anything to you, okay? Those are numbers that BetNow uses to signify each team in a game. They literally mean absolutely nothing to you, the bettor, all right? And then, of course, you've got the 2 teams that are playing, Florida and Miami, right? Now, the first set of numbers that we're going to see is going to be the spread. And this is usually what I talk about when I do my preview and prediction videos, right? You'll hear me say, and there's a Florida versus Miami preview video coming up later today. So you'll hear me say in that video, the spread on this game is 7.5, or, Florida's a 7.5 point favorite, or Miami is a 7.5 point underdog. All those things mean the same thing, right? The spread is just the number of points that one team is favored over another. You can tell who the favorite is if you don't already know by the minus sign. If you see here, Florida minus 7.5, that means Florida is the favorite, and they're favored by 7.5 points. And then, of course, conversely from that, Miami would be the underdog, right? And they're a 7.5 point underdog. Okay, so that's what these two numbers mean. And if you're going to bet the spread, which is the most common bet to make, these are the numbers that you're looking at, right? All right, so how do these numbers work? You're not just betting who will win the game if you bet the spread. In a lot of cases, that's just way too easy. The Georgia Tech game, for example, it's a 36-point spread. Obviously, if you were going to bet on who was just going to win the game, you would bet Clemson, right? And you actually can do that, but that's over here on the money line. We'll talk about that in a minute. The spread is the most common and most popular bet to make. So if you bet Florida here, right, you're betting that Florida not only wins the game, but wins it by more than 7.5 points. And you say, well, you can't score 7.5 points. Right. So if they win by 7, you lose the bet. Okay? If you were to bet this game by checking this box here, and Florida wins the game by 7 points, 6 points, 5 points, 4, 3, 2, or 1 point, you lose your bet. You also lose the bet, obviously, if Miami wins, no matter what they win by. If you bet Florida at minus 7.5, the only way you can win that bet is if Florida wins the game by more than 7.5 points, which of course would be 8 points. 8 points or more, you win that bet. If you do not think Florida is going to win this game by 7.5 points, maybe you think this is going to be a really close game. Maybe you think Miami is going to win, maybe you think Florida is going to win, but you only think Florida is going to win by 3 or 4 points, maybe like a field goal type game. Well, you would bet Miami in that case at plus 7.5. Now, the way this works, if Florida wins this game, right, by 7 points or less, you win the bet. You're betting on Miami. They don't even have to win the game for you to win the bet. They just have to lose by less than 7.5 points, right? If the final score of this game was 27-20, and you bet Miami, and Florida won the game, 27-20, that's 7 points, you would win this bet. If it's 23-20, you would win this bet. If Miami wins the game by 1 point, you win this bet. Okay? The only way for you to lose here is if Miami loses the game by more than 7.5 points. This is the simplest, the easiest, the most common, and the easiest to understand bet on any gambling site, and by far the most popular. You're betting against the spread. That's how that works. This set of numbers, minus 105, minus 115. What do those numbers mean? This is how a bookie, in this case, this website, would make their money. The goal of BetNow or any bookie or any casino taking sports bets is to try to get the same amount of money bet on both sides of the game. And that's why you'll see these lines change from time to time. Like right now, this game is 7.5 points favorite for Florida. If over the next couple of days, a whole lot of people start putting a whole lot of money on Florida at minus 7.5, this number will go up. Maybe tomorrow we looking at set minus 8, and then the next day it's at minus 8.5, and then the next day it's at minus 10, and all of a sudden you're looking and saying, wow, Florida's now a 10-point favorite. That means a lot of people have started putting money on Florida. So the bookie, the website, the casino, whoever you're dealing with, will adjust this number up until finally people say, okay, now that's too high, and they start betting on Miami again. Because they want to get the same amount of money bet on each side. Why do they want to do that? Because of this number right here, minus 105. What this means, in this particular case, if you bet on Florida at minus 7.5, you would have to bet $105 to win 100. So they make that $5. Does that make sense? So if they get equal money put on both sides of this line, they make the difference here between, they make, like in this case, if you're betting Miami, you'd have to bet $115 to win 100. You're saying, well, where does that other $15 go? It goes to here. They get it. That's how they make their money. Their goal is to have the same amount of money bet on both sides of the game so that no matter who wins or loses the game, they make money off of this juice. That's what that's called. Okay. You don't really need to understand that technically to bet on these games. I'm just mentioning it because people oftentimes will wonder, well, wait a minute. I bet $100, but I only won 90. Why? Where's the other 10? They keep the 10, or in this case, the 5, whatever it happens to be. Now, you don't have to bet $100. Basically, what this means is it's costing you 5% here to make this bet, right? So if you bet $100 on this game, you're going to win about 95, right? If you bet $50 on this game, you're going to win, you get it. You understand what I'm saying? And it'll make more sense in a minute when I actually start picking the games. All right, the total, okay? These numbers here, which is referred to as the total. You'll often hear people call this the over-under, right? This is the total number of points scored in a game, and this is probably the second most common bet made on football. It doesn't matter who wins or loses the game. It doesn't matter who scores the points. It doesn't matter how the points are scored. Offense, defense, special teams, doesn't matter. All you're betting on is whether you think there will be more than 47 points total scored in this game or less than 47 points total scored in this game. Just because the over 47 happens to be on the Florida line and the under 47 happens to be on the Miami line, that doesn't matter. The over is always on the top line. The under is always on the bottom. It doesn't have anything to do with each individual team. Again, it's the total number of points scored in the game. So, for example, if you're one of these people that, and I see them every day, that thinks Florida's winning this game 45-10, it's not even going to be close. Okay, well, if you think Florida's winning this game 45-10, you would bet Florida at -7.5, right? Because 45-10 is way more than 7.5 point win. So you would bet Florida at -7.5. And if you're really that confident, you would bet the over on this game over 47. 45-10 is, if you think Florida is scoring in the 40s, then you definitely should bet the over here, right? So that's what the over-under is. It's the total number of points scored in a game. The third one, this is probably the least common of the most common 3 ways to bet. These are the 3 most common ways to bet: spread, total, or over-under, and the money line. The money line is just betting who's going to win the game. Doesn't matter who the favorite is or the underdog is. They don't have to win or lose by any number of points. You're just betting who you think is going to win the game outright. Who's going to win the game outright. And now, and if you're new to betting or gambling, you're thinking, well, why would anybody bet the spread here where Florida has to win by more than 7.5 if you can just bet Florida to win the game outright? Well, you remember when we talked about this 105, and that's how they make their money, and you have to bet $105 to win 100? Well, look what the number is here. You would have to bet $300 to win 100 to pick Florida just to win the game. In this case, it doesn't matter. Florida could win by 1 point. You win the bet. But you're going to win a lot less than the amount of money you're risking. In this case, a lot less. And the higher that a team is favored, right? Like, come down here and look at, we'll use Georgia Tech and Clemson. Clemson is favored by 36 points. And you're saying, well, I'm just going to pick Clemson to win the game. Then obviously, they're going to win. You can do that, but you can see how little of a return you're going to get based on your bet. You'd have to bet $25,000 just to win 100 if you took Clemson just to win the game on the money line, or people will refer to that as straight up. I'm just going to take Clemson to win the game straight up. That just means win the game by 1 point or more. You can do that, but you'd have to bet $25,000 to win 100. Again, these odds are showed to you in terms of $100, but you can bet literally any amount you want. You can bet $5, you can bet 10, 20, 50, whatever you want on the game. So you'd have to bet, basically in this case, $250 to win $10. So, that a lot of people don't bet huge point spread games on the money line unless they're going to take the underdog. See, if you look at, we'll use the Miami-Florida example again. If you think Miami is going to win this game outright, and you say, I don't even want these 7.5 points. I just think Miami's going to win the game straight up. Well, it works the opposite way, right? Florida's a favorite, so you got to bet 300 to win 100. Miami is a 7.5 point underdog. So you see how this says plus 250 instead of minus? That means you only have to bet 100 to win 250. So you actually win way more than you risk when you take the underdog on the money line or straight up, right? And we'll come back down here to Georgia Tech again, who is a huge underdog, right? 36-point underdog here for Georgia Tech. $100 bet on Georgia Tech would win you $9,000 if Georgia Tech wins that game. So you can see here, the higher the point spread here on an underdog, the higher the payout if you play them on the money line or if you bet them, otherwise known as betting straight up. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. The spread, if you're betting a team to win or lose by a certain number of or win by a certain number of points or more, right? So I'm going to run through this real quick one more time, and then I'll show you how it works when you place a bet. If you think Florida's going to win this game and you say, well, they're a 7.5 point favorite, I don't care, I think they're going to win by more than that, you make this bet right here. The only way you win this bet is if Florida wins the game by more than 7.5 points. If you're one of these people that thinks it's going to be a close game or that Miami might win, you would take Miami at plus 7.5 points. The only way you lose that bet is if Florida wins by more than 7.5 points. So if Miami, you're getting 7.5 free points in this game. So if Miami loses by 6, you win the bet. If they lose by 3, you win the bet. If Miami loses by 1, you win the bet. And if Miami wins the game by any amount at all, you win the bet. All right, then you got the total, otherwise known as the over-under. Doesn't have anything to do with the individual teams. You're just betting the total amount of points scored in a game. In this case, it's 47. If you think this is going to be a high-scoring offensive shootout, maybe, you take over 47. If you're saying, man, Miami and Florida both have really good defenses, I could see this being like a 24-14 type of game, which would be 38 points. I'm going to take the under. I don't think there's going to be 47 points scored in this game. And again, this is total points, not individually per team, right? And then you have the money line bet, or which some people refer to as straight up. And that means you don't want to mess around with these points. You just want to bet a team outright to win the game. You either bet Florida to win the game straight up, or you bet Miami to win the game straight up. Since Florida is the favorite, you have to bet a lot. In this case, 300 to win a little, 100. Okay? You don't have to bet in increments of 100. The math stays the same as you up your bet or down your bet. Okay? If you think Miami is winning this game straight up and you're so confident you don't even want the 7.5 free points, you bet the money line. $100 would win you $250. All right, now I'm going to show you what it looks like when you actually go to place the bet. And again, I haven't decided yet which way I'm going on this game. I'm going to make a preview video about this game later today and this Arizona-Hawaii game. And in that video, I will let you know whether I think Miami or Florida is the way to go. I will predict the spread here when I do the video. But let's pretend, just for the sake of this video, that I think Miami is going to win this game, or at least keep it close. Like, I could see this being a 3 or 4 point game, maybe either way. I don't think Florida is going to win this game by more than 7.5. If that's what I think, I would bet Miami and the 7.5. I want those 7.5 points because, again, this is just I'm doing my actual preview later, so this is just a theory or whatever here. This is just hypothetical. I could see Miami maybe winning this game in the end, but I definitely think it's going to be a close game. Then I would take Miami and the 7.5. Okay? I would come right up here where it says add picks to ticket. Does everyone see this right up here? Add picks to ticket. I would click that, and this little box opens up over here, okay? And it tells you what you're betting. You're betting the spread at 7.5, right? For Miami, right here in the green. I am betting Miami plus 7.5. This tells me what it's going to cost me to make the bet, right? Minus 115. And again, you see that number here from earlier. This means I would have to bet $100, $115 to win 100. Well, you can see I only deposited 100. So let's say I wanted to bet $50 on this game. How much would I win if I risk 50 at plus 7.5, right? At minus 115 right there, 50. I would win $43, okay? So I would win $7 less than I risk, okay? So does that make sense? And it's going to show it to you here when you get ready to do it, all right? And if that's the bet you want to make, it tells you what your totals are. You're risking $50 to win 43, okay? That's how it works. So if I win this bet, I get my $50 back that I risk, and they pay me $43.48 on top of that, okay? Now I'm going to remove this and show you one more example. Let's say I think Miami's going to win this game straight up. I don't even need the 7 points. I'm so confident. Florida's a dumpster fire, whatever the case may be. I think Miami's going to win this game, and I don't even need these 7.5 points. I'd rather bet it on the money line. I'd rather bet it straight up and get paid more for what I risk. All right, I would check this box right here underneath money line in Miami. Miami, right, on the money line. I'm going to get paid plus 250 of whatever I bet. All right, let's add picks to ticket right up here. You can see the same type box comes up, right? And it tells me you're betting Miami, right? You see that right there? It tells you who you're betting. You're betting Miami on the money line at plus 250. How much do you want to risk? Remember I told you if you since it's plus 250, that means if you bet 100, you win 250. So you'll see if I put 100 in right here to risk, I would win 250. So my total available balance that I deposited is $100, right? If I risk it all on Miami on the money line at plus 250, I would win $250. This balance would go from 100 to 350. I would win $250. That's the way that would work. All right. So I'm going to remove that. Again, I'm going to make a preview video on both of these games, Miami versus Florida and Arizona versus Hawaii, later today, and upload it. And, you know, those are the videos that I make all throughout the season. If you didn't see the video a week or so ago, preview videos will be posted on this channel every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Right, Tuesday will be SEC previews, Wednesday will be top 25 previews, and Thursday will be all the other games that are interesting to me for one reason or another. I'll preview on Thursday, and during all those preview videos, all the numbers and lines and spreads and totals and everything that I use will be from this site, betnow.eu. Again, check it out. It's a lot of fun. It makes games worth watching sometimes that otherwise you would have no interest in watching. You don't have to get carried away. You can do it just for fun. You know, $100 deposited onto this site, and you bet 4 or 5 games every weekend, and you bet $10 a game or something. You're going to win some. You're going to lose some. That $100 will probably last you most of the year if you know what you're doing. Again, maybe you're super confident and you want to put $1,000 in there and put it all on Miami at plus 7.5. I've heard a lot of Miami fans that if they believe their own talk, they would do that. So, but anyway, we'll see. But it's a lot of fun. I've been doing this for a long time. I've been doing it with BetNow for the last couple of years. They've been good enough to sponsor this channel, like I mentioned. So I really appreciate what they do. And again, it's a great site. It's easy to use. Customer service is great. If you ever have any problems or issues, their customer service is great. I will say this. I think a couple of years ago, I think the first time I went to deposit money on here, the transaction got declined, and it gave me a message like you have to call your bank or something because this is an international purchase. So depending on your bank, what type of card you're using, that kind of thing, it may not be already set up for international purchases, your bank card or whatever. If you get a message like that, you just have to call your bank. They're going to verify that you actually did try to make that purchase. They'll clear it, and then it'll go right through. It's no hassle at all. And you don't have to do that every time. You don't have to do it the first time. And not everybody will have to do that. Like I said, it depends on what bank you use and if you're already approved for international purchases and blah, 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 blah. But anyway, if you have to call them for any reason, they're very easy to deal with. If you email them, they'll email you right back. There's a phone number you can call too. But anyway, it's a great site to use. I think you guys will enjoy it. And like I said, it adds some fun and excitement to the college football season. At least for me, it does. You don't have to look at it as a way to make money. If you make a little bit of money, great. If you lose a little bit of money, like I mentioned, you just look at it as entertainment. That's what I do. I don't want to see anybody get themselves in any type of trouble. But this is a fun way to go along with the football season. So anyway, I appreciate you guys watching. Make sure you check it out, betnow.eu. If you're new to the site, when you sign up, make sure you use the promo code Uncle Lou, and they're going to give you a bonus on whatever you deposit is 50%. So if you're new to the site and you deposit $100 like I did, instead of it saying $100 right here, it's going to say $150. They'll give you an extra $50 to use for every 100 you deposit, 50% bonus if you're new to the site. So you guys check it out. Good luck. Take my advice on the preview and prediction videos that I do every week if you want to. But listen, don't get mad at me if you lose on a game that I told you to pick, unless you're also going to give me some of the money you win on the games I get right. Okay. But anyway, I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you a little later this afternoon with a preview on these 2 week 0 games. Have a great morning.